The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy.
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we have more people than I'm comfortable with interviewing at the same time. It's three people. It's BearF, Trogdor, and Rhodesa, the guys you hear every day in the Momo chat in Atlas.
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Atlas crew.
Atlas Trading, what the fuck is up?
There are traders, there are prodigies, and then there's legends.
We're on 4%, baby.
No way.
4 fucking percent.
Buy the fucking dip.
Hey, who told me about IDEX?
Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, someone just made, like, a lot more money than me on my trade.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Did you check the portfolio?
Pennies. The margin for error is so small.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
And they out there making money right now off of penny stocks.
Them two guys is putting in work to make y'all rich.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Time to think big.
Pennies Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity at Dips.
And Hugh Honey.
Produced by Vinny Strokes, baby.
This episode is brought to you by Benzinga. Benzinga is our absolute favorite resource to use when we trade. We use it for news scanners. We use it for float checkers. We use it for stocks screening. We use it for just about everything, including chat rooms and much, much more. But that's not all they have. They have YouTube as well. Hot Stocks Luke every single day has great guests on, ranging from Ripster to Mia Khalifa to Gary to all the best guests you need to hear from every single day, all day long. So make sure to go check that out. That's youtube.com/Benzinga. And if you look in the replies to this tweet, you will see how to get a discount code for Benzinga Pro. Make sure to go sign up for Benzinga Pro right now. Thank you all for coming on. How are you all?
We're good.
We're good. Thank you for having us on.
You know how many times I'm going to butcher Rhodesa and Trogdor? More times than
You've
there's the amount of
literally
people.
met Trogdor in person.
Yeah.
But no, I
It was
mean,
a fun time.
it's super interesting. I've always kind of quoted Momo Chat as being the room where I think you can learn the most in Atlas, because you guys are constantly talking about what you're picking up, why you're picking it up. There's not quite enough people in there where it will cause a crazy sore. If you miss it, you miss it, but there's a reason people are in there all day, every day. And I kind of want, before we dive into that, if each of you guys could kind of introduce yourselves to kind of explain like how you guys became the traders you are today, where you can kind of lead this rambunctious group, starting with you, BearF.
Thanks. I guess where I started was, on Yahoo chat rooms, years ago. Me and my friends kind of say we were trading smoke signals back then, because there wasn't nearly the information and, the charts available and all the tools that we had nowadays. I started in large caps and value investing when I first began. And I kind of did the reverse of what a lot of traders these days do. I transitioned from that, and then I went into options, and now I focus more so on small caps and look mainly for momentum plays, quick, easy grabs that I can, get in and out. Not necessarily scalping for pennies, but we're looking for big momentum moves. Huge opportunities. Intraday opportunities is our focus. So that's kind of how I got to be hooked up with Momentum Team here.
That's awesome.
What about y'all's connection with Atlas? How did you I know you've been at this quite a while, and Zach's mentioned, he's been trading with you for a while. Do you kind of want to touch on that kind of backstory?
Yeah, that'd be a great question, actually. Going back to like when I started with Yahoo chats, I always found it beneficial to share ideas with other traders and colleagues. And then a few years ago, we started to see voice chats and chat rooms like Discord or, webinar programs start popping up with groups talking about stocks. FinTwit was born on Twitter. So it's just kind of been an evolution as far as chat rooms going. And I just kind of stumbled upon Zach on StockTwits one day. I just noticed we were always trading the same thing, and we'd kind of heckle each other back and forth every once in a while. And yeah, I just ended up joining in with Atlas, and they opened their arms to me and accepted me right in. And it's just been a great place to call home since. I've been there almost 2.5 years, I think, now with them guys.
Wow.
I trade there every day.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah, it's great.
And your two, what I assume are almost understudies, Rhodesa and Trog. What about you two young guns?
Yeah, Rhodes, you can start, man.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Rhodesa. I started off on StockTwits, and then from there, I found my way to Atlas somehow. I think it was through Shark. And then I quickly found my way to what was previously the Scalp Chat, which is now Momo Chat. And, from there, I was taught by some of the greats, Bearfucker, Emperor Trade, Shark, AC Slater, who is now Momo's Momentum, and etc. And right now, again, I just capitalize on momentum trades. I look for good opportunities and dip buys, and then I also breakout trade.
All right, awesome, and Trog.
Yeah, I guess you could call me a COVID trader, as maybe similar to Dan. I think most traders are pretty cheap like me. Like, I won't spend $10 on a t-shirt, but I'll throw fucking 10 grand into Dogecoin or something and not think twice about it. But I found Atlas, and I was like looking around, looking to figure out how to trade because my brother-in-law had showed me. He's like, "Oh, look at this! It's up like 300%." Dude, there's got to be a fucking way to catch these movers before they're up 300%. So I started digging a little bit. I was doing research and kind of on and off of trading, and came in Atlas probably like late, like July or so. And then from there, kind of sat there and learned a little bit. I didn't do much trading. I blew up my account on ONTX, and I think the whole world did. But I dropped down to I think it was like $1,600 or some shit. And from there, just kind of learned as much as I could. Rhodes and Bearfucker have been super great mentors of mine, along with B-Dog and the rest of the Momo team. Shark was there for a little bit. And just a big shout out to the entire Momentum team. I wouldn't be where I'm at without everybody, their support. So.
I think that's an interesting transition. You said ONTX blew up your account. I know so many traders. I think that was one of those stocks where so many people just ended up losing it because it was one of those. The data came out early, and it was just one of the shittier swings. I mean, even though it had such good run ups and everything, and it was just one of those where it just could have gone either way, and it just went the wrong way. But were you kind of a swing trader before that? And this kind of goes for all of you guys. Did y'all have different strategies before you moved into just momentum? Because I mean, ONTX was kind of, I wouldn't say it was much of a day trade.
Yeah. No, actually, that's the first time I talked to Hugh. Like, I saw Hugh was like a big trader, so I sent him a DM about ONTX and all my DD. They're like, "Oh yeah, that looks good. You should be fine." But that was like 2 months before. And then, so I was a big swing trader, and I'll still do like swing scalps, but Bearfucker and Rhodes kind of showed me the way. So momentum, we do swing and momentum as well.
It's awesome.
I guess one more thing for you before we kind of transition to the group again. A lot of people, they join these groups, they can't find much use out of it. They find themselves like dead in the water almost. But you joined, even just as recently as what's like 8-9 months ago, had a terrible loss, almost blew up the account. You didn't give up, and you've grinded your way up to being one of the only 5 people that can speak in Atlas Momo chat. Can you kind of touch on what what did you do differently to really get this role? And did you just bug? Like, I know what I did. I bugged the shit out of Hugh over and over again about GHSI until we were friends. So
No, man. I honestly, I stopped taking people's calls. Like Zach Morris is a fucking legend, and his calls are always fucking fire. But it came to a point where I was just like, dude, what if Zach Morris disappears, or what if like PJ, stops trading, or we saw Incredible Bob stop trading. So to me, I really just tried to take the initiative to, as Bearfucker always says, learn and earn. So start taking. I took my own calls, and from there, and that's how you make name for yourself, and that's how you become, I guess, a relatively successful trader. I still have a lot to learn, and Rhodesa and Bearfucker are just like miles and miles ahead. So obviously, I think they'd be better to talk to themselves. But yeah, just learning and just trusting what you think is good. Your style of trading.
yeah, obviously, I'm sure the Momo chat has been a huge help to people during this slower market. The kind of okay, I guess, Barrett, could you kind of give me how do you guys? When you wake up, are you all cash? Do you have these intraday swings that you think could keep going? What, when you guys wake up, hop on voice, I like to say the Pledge of Allegiance for you guys every morning. But after I leave and the market opens, how do you guys attack the day?
Sure. We, for me, a lot of it is homework behind the scenes. I'm making watch lists, I'm charting, I'm setting my price levels early in the morning. I'm reading through the news pieces. I'm going through. I'm strict on that news keyword list. I assign points to news pieces to help me kind of gauge on what kind of news we're dealing with that day. I go through and try to see what market events are going to occur. Is Powell going to be speaking today? Is housing numbers coming out? Stuff like that. And then we kind of talk about it amongst ourselves briefly. Some days, other days we just hop right in and just start chatting about what we like.
Yeah, I really like y'all's list of rules. Hopefully, we can kind of add some of them under whenever we tweet this out. Could you guys kind of go over some of your favorite ones? I know when you just say rules, it doesn't really, a lot of people won't understand, but these guys have some very in-depth rules. I don't remember a lot of them right now solely because that stock's not running to $1, so I don't have to worry about it running to $1.15 after. But could you guys kind of touch on some of your favorite ones of those? Because y'all have very specific good ones.
Yeah. Basically, for as far as like the posting rules, are you talking like our 375 and our 90 to 120?
Yeah.
Like the 90 to 120
right,
stuff?
Right.
Yeah, well, we've developed a lot of these like unique strategies that honestly many people think sound crazy as far as based on price levels and Fibonacci and even as far as like the golden ratio number, we use that a lot to figure out our next price levels. But in particular, like the 375 rule is a momentum rule that when a stock with a low float that hasn't hit 375 in a little while, so it's built up some resistance at that area, finally breaks out of 375, it oftentimes moves rapidly to $5.
And we saw that today.
Yeah, today was a perfect example. PRPO and still going.
Yeah, we went 8.
Yeah. It's an 8.
PRPO
wow.
also. Yeah, PRPO also goes with another one of the rules that were created in the room by, I believe, B-Dog, which is the 90, 120, 180.
And could you explain that one?
Sure. It's really relative to the 375 move. In fact, it's quite similar. In fact, you want a low float or a lower float under 50 million. It's got to be moving up rapidly. It would help if it hadn't had huge spikes in the past. So there's some momentum built up in there, and then it hits 90%. Then it hits 120%, and then we shoot for 180% at sometimes. And that's based on Fibonacci extension mainly. The theory behind it is, shorts are continuing to cover, especially once a stock hits 100%. There's not much averaging down short can do anymore. So typically we see them massive covers pushing it up above them, the extra 120, 180%. So yeah, they're quite impressive to see.
So, along with all these guidelines and specific rules, you have people like Hugh, usually a swing trader. Market's not great for swing. Well, it may be heating up, but last couple months hadn't been great for swings. They need to hop in this day trading market. You have these rules, you have these tips. What are some tips you could give to a swinger? They realize, this isn't a swinger's market. I've got to adapt. What do you think you could teach someone like him diving into?
Give it to me, Bear, or else I hope you have an extra room for me.
Well, Trog actually today we had a perfect example with PRPO on voice. He's like, man, I can't buy this high.
We're up 100%. Yeah, we're up 100%.
Yeah, the stock was up 100%, and the analogy I made for him was, look at these big moves as like a party bus. Like, how bad do you want to be at the party? Like, are you going to run and chase that bus and grab that bumper? And maybe skin your knees, or are you going to just sit there and watch it go by and be a dork? Like, I want to go to the party, so I might skin my knees to try to get on that bus, right?
I like that. So you're willing to take a little damage as long as you can make it to the party. I mean, but if that bus keeps rolling, you won't have to skin your knees, bro. You're making it straight to the party, but sometimes you fall off.
Right. And the best thing is, a lot of these big runners, they make bus stops. They have little pullbacks, and that's where, understanding charts, learning Fibonacci and stuff like that really helps for intraday trading, especially momentum, is catching that bus stop or it's always jumping on that bus. You just got to not think about it. The more you think about something, the more reservations you have, it's going to take you a while. So
go ahead.
Okay, I think my best advice for a swing trader trying to make some money in day trading would be to understand the key levels of the chart in terms of where the best bounce ads are. I found that the best bounce ads, because I'm a dip buyer, is daily resistance turned to intraday support. I also like pre-market high a day bounce ads. But again, you got to remember it's all relative to where those lie on the chart. For example, if a stock moves from point A to point B, a significant move up, and one of those lines are very close to point B, it's likely going to drop below that, right? It needs to drop a significant amount for people to regain that confidence in that dip, where smart money and big money is going to look to buy in.
Yeah, and Rhodes is 21 for everybody wondering. Yeah. Like he just turned 21 like 2 weeks ago. But like in slow markets, Rhodes like really takes the reins in all of Momo. You can find Momo in like a fucking like desert, bro. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's one of the trading
yeah.
is definitely one of the only like jobs I've seen, unless it's like one of super tech CEOs where you've got to be able, aside from that and gaming, where you've got to respect the younger people just as much as you got to respect the, because there's gonna be
new ideas.
High school millionaires trading within the next 2 years after all this GME nonsense.
Well, the new ideas that they bring in, that's what impresses me the most about Trog and Rhodesa is I've got all these old school mentalities built up from my experience in trading for years, and I've been burned, and I've had successes as well. But the burns, you still feel them. So having these new ideas that haven't had any major burns, coming into a market like this is fresh and invigorating, I think, as well. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's super impressive of you, especially like, you've been doing this a while and it's so easy to get like an old head mentality. Oh, these guys are only making money because, look at the market. How could you not be? But being able to take in those ideas from new people is always so valuable.
Yeah, that's what I respect about Bear, man. He's always learning. Like he's been trading for over 10 years and he's like, oh, well, I'll try that. Like today he had to like explain how to use a fucking computer to me and Rhodes. And they're like, dude, how the fuck do we set this up? But he's there like giving us something like, oh, okay.
How often?
He's like,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's just like the I call it like pillars. Ship markets, you always got to fall back on pillars. In Momo, it's like half dollar and whole dollar resistances. Same shit. Bear is like a pillar from Momo side.
How much do y'all like rotate the sectors too? Obviously, you guys just know the sectors. Hey, this one's running. Let's get in this beforehand. This is a good scalp. Like, what are y'all's like key? What's your bread and butter?
Yeah,
I
so
think Rhodesa could. Yeah, go ahead, Rhodesa. You're the best, probably sector rotator that we have here.
I came from only studying charts. Like it was 24/7 charts. It was nothing else. It wasn't understanding the news. It wasn't understanding the sector. It wasn't understanding anything but the chart. And it got me, in a hot market, all these charts went up, right? So I was able to do that. But when it came to understanding slower markets or just bettering my game in general, I had to really start to anticipate sectors. And that's where a few key people in my life, Bear and Trog included, in addition to Brady Atlas, they really have a strong understanding of sector rotations and anticipating them in a timely manner, right? Because EVs, weed, all those tickers are eventually going to go one day, but it comes down to timing them and understanding the chart and how to time them.
Yeah, I think that's a super good point because, I mean, when you think about day trading, you think about technical analysis, reading charts, but it's not just that. I mean, you need to be able to understand what's going up, why it's going up, and what could go up based off of that. What do you think are a newer trader's best advice? Because you said you're clearly super young and you've mastered charting and also learned the sector rotating. I know Brady has a ton of stuff on it, but what do you kind of recommend for someone newer hopping in, trying to learn not only charting but then learning how to fit that into sector rotating?
Yeah, so I think the main lesson I learned was to really take a step back, and I kind of understood that more so from Zach Morris's indirect mentorship. He's really good at taking a step back, figuring out what exactly is moving and why, and then connecting those to external events, like stuff outside of the chart, right? Like future conferences or future events, like Black Lives Matter during Black History Month, or you're not always going to be right in trying to connect the dots, but I think trying to connect the dots in terms of this company and how they relate to some external factor is the best advice I can give to you.
Do you ever have issue being like, it's just too obvious? Black Lives Matter stock in Black History Month or weed on 420. Do they ever seem like this is too obvious? Why would it run? Like I must have missed it,
Yeah, so I think those ones were actually probably not the best examples because they're so highly anticipated by the masses. So when you have something that everyone's expecting, that's actually going to start to change. Like, for example, the hurricane season stocks, right? The more people who start to figure out that they start to run during hurricane season, that date's going to be pushed up, right? So people are going to start adding earlier and earlier and earlier. Obviously, you can't go too far out, but you want to look for events like Amazon Prime Day, where you can actually create a timeline within it.
What do you mean create a timeline?
So Amazon Prime Day is on certain dates of the year, right? So that gives you a timeline of when you can expect something. I think Bear and Trog might be able to add on to that a little bit.
Yeah, so for me, like sector rotation is like a huge thing for me for like trading and growing like a tiny account. Just because you had to anticipate. And I'm like a huge fan of Pennies going at Raw, by the way. And I remember Hugh, he was talking about, how he swing trades and stuff. And like a big portion of it is, anticipating what might happen. And I'm pretty sure, Hugh would probably be really good at momentum. When I'm looking for sector rotation, I'm looking for all the charts that are ready for a breakout pattern. whether it be a falling wedge or like ascending triangle, it doesn't matter. But if all the charts are lined up and they just all look the same, you know that okay, well, a sector rotation's about to happen right now, and a lot of times it'll come down to a fucking like a world event, like OCGN, we caught it like $5 because India, they started like leaking news that they were having like 300,000 infections a day. So sector rotation to me goes down to one, world news, but also two, once all the algos start aligning, you're able to tell that, if a fucking solar looks, SPI looks just like Sun W or SOL, they all look the same. They're all going to break out at the same time. And that's when you get your quote unquote manias. And, I see oil manias around the corner, but
Yeah, and that's why it's important to have individual sector watch lists. We actually have one in the Momo EDU channel created by Toffee. It's just an Excel spreadsheet of all the main tickers of each sector.
Okay,
So
well, let's
we
see how
constantly.
let's see
I'm
how well
sorry.
you know it. Okay, riot stocks.
Yeah.
Name 3. Boom.
DGLY, RAP, and
Bissell.
basically,
BISL.
How can you forget Vissel?
Come on, man. What,
This one's gonna be the next
podcast
Amazon.
are you fucking on, dude?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But-
This was gonna be carrying me to the hospital when I'm 80. All right. Come on.
But like Jog said, I think it all kind of starts with the charts. You want to look at each sector constantly, and if they start to speak to you, that's when you want to start to look to external factors and try to connect it to something that might be less obvious.
They whisper in your ear. They don't
Yeah,
speak to you.
the little
Like a
sixth
sexual
sense.
whisper.
I've got one more. I've got one more because it looks like Hugh might have just woken up.
That's good.
Fuck.
I feel horrible.
One sec,
I feel so. I had to pay taxes, so naturally I'm not feeling well.
I feel all pain.
Yeah. By the way, PGIR reminder: you have 2 weeks to pay your taxes. Do
I
not
can't
fuck
remember
with the
what my question
IRS.
was. Fuck.
Do not.
Yeah, I've got to pay my taxes.
The
too.
DNR and the IRS are the two things you don't want to fuck with. Trust me.
As kind of like day traders, how do you and y'all are just hitting on world events with crazy shit that happens, like the Capitol being invaded, spy tanks. Are you immediately on riot stocks? Are you selling everything else? Like, how do you guys respond to those things so quick?
Yeah, with something like that, we'll talk between each other usually and say, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And we take the three of our thoughts and use the average. So if two of us think it's going to go, it likely goes. Like NFTs is a good example. Chog just me out. We're on the NFT. Like we're literally probably were the first one to buy TCAT that day. Just because we felt that NFT rotation coming. We sprang into action to find a good NFT play. We discussed it between ourselves, which one's a good one. We think this one's got the most potential. We jumped on it, and it just started running. And that's part of being a good team. I think is having that quick pivot ability and negotiating amongst ourselves to have a group mindset.
Yeah, and in that case, it was a new sector, but that also ties into when you do have a sector that reruns, right? Just recycles through. That's why it's important to have those sector watch lists up. So if you don't know them off the top of your head, you can quickly pull that up and find your favorite tickers. In addition, it's also important to, every time something runs, a sector runs, to take note of the leaders, to take note of the personality of the tickers. So when you get to trading them again, you know exactly which ones you want to.
That was the question I forgot. The personality of tickers. How important is that as a day trader that is more on momentum than just day trading stocks? Because I feel like trading momentum is a lot different than just day trading shit that you're swinging.
Yeah, I think it just changes, man. Like some tickers have certain personalities, but also like news drops, and like the market loves new things, you know, like, so if something's new, it's like, oh, the market loves it. And if you know, what is it, Bear? The one that you like, DPW?
Yeah, DBW. Yep.
Yeah, like that one has like a weird personality, but one day it might just like wake up like Hugh just did. Like he was
Whoa,
like,
hey, dude, you know what woke me up is this VXRT. You guys
oh
see
shit.
it?
Yeah, we were on that one today, actually. That's
Dude, that just dumped like $1.50. I mean, that's just
Naked's at 63 cents if anyone wants them.
dude. It literally VXRT in the last 3 minutes is up like $1.50. It's hitting 9.
So for
I
me,
feel like I'm in Momo squad.
Live trading. No, but
So I
this,
like-
but
I-
seriously, this is for anyone listening. This is the type of shit you get probably smarter. In Momo chat every day is they're on voice chat and they say why they're buying it, like what it could go to, what their risk is. Do you notice any like issues as the room grows bigger and bigger, like too much volume coming in? If those stop losses hit, it just fucking tanks or something like that.
Not so much as that. I think it's just the fact that people get complacent and expect the calls rather than going out and searching for their own. You know, because plays can get saturated. You know, that's kind of the word I guess would be best used for the plays that we use. We don't want them to get too saturated, but at the same time, many of our rules that we use, like the 375, the 120, volume breakout, daily range, mid candle breakouts, all those plays work better the more people are in them. So the more people you can get on board, they work really well, and they work well for everybody. You know, as long as you have strict rules.
What do you think if there's one thing like that Hugh knows as an expert swing trader that would would be super valuable as a momentum trader? That it's like if I could have one attribute of his, and then Hugh, I'd like the same for them.
So you're asking like what like aspects of Hugh that we wish
it is his ass?
Probably
Like-
nothing in the past 6 weeks. I'll tell you what.
No, it's just DD, man. That shit goes a long way.
Even in
Like,
momentum trading.
Yeah, even in momentum trading, dude. Like I'm a big DD guy, and Hugh is the one that got me into it when I first started trading. Because you know, to me, it's like I was a nerd in school, so I always like to do like a little bit of fucking like research or whatever. But yeah, DD to me is like a pillar that you can fall back on. Like when momentum's not there, like the past like 3 weeks, like you know, there's a reason I went heavy into OCGN is because of my DD on it. You know, and when the market's trash, you know,
instead of trading momentum, you can just do DD and find out what stocks are beating down too much. Yeah,
double D's, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Bear. What do you think?
No, I think you're pretty close to what I would have said actually, as far as you know, falling back on doing due diligence and more research, you know, transferring over and then fundamentals too. Understanding fundamentals as a swing trader really does help with being a day trader, believe it or not. You know, I mean, you wouldn't think it does, but I think having fundamental background is super important. Knowing, you know, what companies have offerings out there. You know what the short float, you know, composition is. You know
how much cash they have.
Yeah, cash on hand. You know, all that stuff.
You never
really
get hit
important.
in an offering in the middle of a day
Right?
trade.
Yeah, in a day trade, like that would be so bad. You know,
those are biotech.
All right. Well, what about you, number one middle linebacker in all of New Jersey?
I mean, I kind of country. You know, I don't want to brag or nothing. First off, thanks guys. You know, that really warmed my heart. But I think for you guys, I think it's the way that you guys can move on so quickly from a play. Like I've sometimes I'll listen in on you guys, and you guys just like the way that you guys can talk through something, and it feels like, you know, like when I get burned from something, I'm like, fuck that shit, I'm never coming back to it. But I can physically remember T-Cat Bear. I think you got stopped out that day that went bazonkers. You got stopped out, and immediately, like within like 15 minutes, you came back to it, and I was like, I was like, have I ever seen this before?
He's revenge trading.
Yeah. And then it just went like $20 or something. And I was like, shit. I was like, because there's a few, swings that I've gotten burned on where I'm like, oh man, like this is kind of setting up like, like I would, but so I think that's one of the things where it's like you guys have such that short-term memory that you need with trading. And I mean, I know, Bear, that you touched on about like your burns, but I mean, from what I can tell, it's like you guys like your short-term memory is incredible.
Yeah, you just always have to remember that like anything that doesn't work out for you is a mistake caused by yourself. So that doesn't mean that later down, 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour, or even a few days, right? That doesn't mean that stock isn't going to be ready at that time.
Yeah,
So
you can learn from that mistake as soon as you sell it.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of mixing the things together, do y'all ever swing trade and then kind of day trade those like core positions? I know that's a big thing I've always liked to do. That's how I learned the personality of stocks. And if it's a swing trader's market, I feel like that is like my bread and butter, because there's always that chance that catalyst that everyone's waiting for happens. We wake up and it gaps up. But at the same time, if it takes a while, well, I've made money on it because I've been trading it this whole time. Do y'all do the same?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's super important to have a starter position that you hold as a core. And we talk about this a lot in momentum trading, how even your tax lotting through your broker, as far as like if you're first in, first out, or last in, first out, or cheapest out first, super important as far as a day trader.
I'm cheapest out. That's my strategy. Or last in, first out. I'm a big last in, first out, or cheapest first.
We should take a poll for listeners. We should take a poll. Are you FIFO, LIFO?
Oh, I'm LIFO and cheapest first.
I'm a LIFO.
Do a whole podcast on LIFO.
LIFO, baby. LIFO gang.
LIFO gang for life, dude.
I think it's also important to understand too, and this is really what Trog and Bear helped me see, is the big picture to things. So you might see something as a day trade entry, but what I see and what I know Bear and Trog sees is I always value it at X amount of, right? And that's normally based off of some resistance level. So if it doesn't go to that X amount that day and all vital signs are great, I'll turn it into a swing trade. So it's similar to swing trading in terms of valuing your shares.
Okay. Very important question coming. I just quit my job. I've got $10,000 in my TD Ameritrade account.
Shit, boy.
I have $30,000 in the bank account. I want to trade with the Momo team. Should I put in money, go to PDT, and only trade with $5,000? Keep in mind, I have extreme self-control, amazing self-control. Would you recommend doing that for someone trying to learn to day trade? Or just, do you think I always say paper trading doesn't do much, but I guess if you're doing it for charting, it would. What do you think is kind of like, what do you say to the person under 25K that just thinks, if I could just hit 25K, it's all easy?
I would completely disagree with that. I think if you're a newer trader in that situation, it's best to stay in a cash account and use 50% of your capital each day. If you're over PDT, you're going to run into the problem of you're going to have unlimited funds to trade with, and you just really don't understand chart dynamics and the way things move. So you might burn yourself out a lot faster. Whereas if you're in a cash account, you're limited to X amount per day. And, you could slowly build that up. And then when you get over PDT, then that's like, I've proven myself. But until then, I mean, there's people who've done it both ways, but I think it's definitely important to understand how things work before you jump in.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan, you started with a small account. So like that question you could probably answer,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But mine went from the 5,000 to 25,000 in a month. So it was more of a crazy bull market taking advantage of things. But it's super interesting. I love the cash account things, because one thing I will never forget is running out of money in my cash account around noon. And just the bigger and bigger it got, by the time I was around 22,000, I wasn't running out of money. And then it was like I hit 25 and it was like I never have to worry about it again. It was a big moment. I think just allowing that to be a big milestone, and it's kind of like, you you graduated from flight school kind of moment. Still wouldn't recommend quitting your job and becoming a pilot, but
Bear's about to be a pilot, dude.
Are you serious, Bear?
Yeah, he's about to buy a plane too.
So you trade all day. You trade all day where your emotions are high, tension constantly, and then you go 30,000 feet inside the air.
Not quite that high yet.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's flying like
there.
a 767.
No, maybe, dude. I'm not great at math. I mean, 30,000. I thought my building was 30,000.
You only like skydive out of like 5,000, 7,500.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, you go really high, carrying like 300 people.
He lives on the fucking moon.
Listen, Bear, New Jersey traffic's terrible. So when I go visit my parents, if you're ever not doing anything,
I got you, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Hugh,
Give me about a year and I'll be all over.
Hugh, I have a real question.
Yeah.
Is there such thing as Central Jersey?
Of course, I'm really gonna dox myself now. But if you took New Jersey and evenly split it up into 3 areas, I'm literally in the center of New Jersey. Therefore, I am the center. I started
the only people that say there's Central Jersey are the people that are in Central Jersey. North and South are like.
It's funny because the college that I go to, college in New Jersey, great school, fine academics, the Harvard of the Northeast. Oh fuck! But anyway, that's not the important part. But there's we all play like a drinking game every time that someone that you go out of town and someone asks if there's a Central Jersey, like everyone has to take a shot. And like we were in Vancouver and we got destroyed off of it. But yeah, there's definitely a Central Jersey, 100%. There's definitely a Central Jersey. I got a question for you guys. At what did you guys ever go on like a extended cold streak? Because I know for myself as a swing trader, like I said, the past 6 weeks. I mean, past 6 weeks, I'm moving in, another 6 weeks of this. I'm moving in with Bear. So, have you guys ever gone on a cold streak, and how did you guys handle that? Because for me, especially, like I've tried to day trade, and seeing that multiple red days for me was like mentally fucking. So, have you guys ever gone like a cold streak, and how do you guys handle that?
Rhodes is always hot. I'm sure Bear has been on a cold streak.
I've had cold streaks in my past. Most of the time it was when I was more of a swing trader, though.
Feel that.
But summer times get to be pretty detrimental to momentum trader, just because it's always been the mentality to sell in May and walk away. But the last two years, COVID and the influx of new traders has helped that out quite a bit. But, maybe like 3-4 years ago, I had a long summer red streak that was probably 2-3 weeks. And
you poor fucking thing. 2-3 weeks.
I mean, it was like a loss every day. It wasn't like losing my swings. It was like I was trying stuff and it just, nothing worked for me.
Yeah.
And it was pretty detrimental to my mentality. And I remember having to just disconnect for about a week and just hang out with family and go do some summer stuff and then come back to it and just, reapply myself and really work at it. Because I found that it was, the problem was I was getting complacent, and just, trying my same old strategies and not evolving. So that's important, is to recognize yourself. You have to step away to do that, do so.
Yeah, I like to look for consistencies at night. So I chart every night. I look at every single ticker that went up, and I study them. I study them pretty in depth, and I try to look for consistencies because, in one market, a flag setup might be super hot, right? And then in another market, that might, a few weeks later, that might not be what's moving. So I try to look to see what's, actually working and what's not. Like last week, you had a bunch of kill candles. And last week flags were working, but this week can be completely different. So I definitely find value in, like what Bear said, trying to adapt to the current market. I've noticed whenever I have bad streaks, it's typically associated with external factors. So I immediately know, like, my head's not in the right space. So I'm either going to dramatically reduce my size, or I'm also very good at discipline. So I'll just sit on my hands, or I'll flip to swing trading for a little bit. But
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
definitely good to understand um, the difference between a couple days and then a difference between being in like that dry spell. Because I
Yeah,
think
no,
a few people might think that, like, oh, it's just a few days, it's just a few days, and then you run yourself into the ground. So it's good to be honest with yourself in terms of how you're trading, and that's why it's important to review your day trades every night.
yeah. To me, like that goes road what you're saying. That goes back to like sector rotations, because sector rotations isn't always like, oh, solars are going, oh, TCAT's going. Let's all meow together. It's more of like, so the like bottom wedges were working for me for like, like 4 days, because the sector is, it's a different trend. A technical trend and a technical sector is this, they kind of work, kind of coincide with each other. And now after today, what we're seeing is like cup and handles working, and then next week, it might be ascending triangles. Well, and I guess cup and handle is an ascending triangle when you break it down, but 100%, 100%. No
Yeah,
doubt.
and then just understanding when momentum flows back. I mean, I think that's why we saw Zach Morris come back on Twitter and stuff, because he knows that we are cooking up into a hotter market. Maybe it's just May, maybe it's the next few months, but he knows that he could call out something and it has a high probability of going, versus 4 weeks ago, you can call out something that might have great support, might be a great ticker, but the market was just in a downtrend.
And Bear loves like triple top breaks. Like once those come back, get ready for like 800% runners every day. Bear,
We go in the Bears den when we see triple tops.
oh shit, dude. We pull our pants down when we see triple top breaks.
Yeah, this is definitely one that we're gonna have to return to, maybe even one separately, because I mean, there's so many different things that each of you guys provide. I mean, and I still have so many questions, like what each of you guys' favorite charting setup is, and obviously we just found out Bears, right? Takes triple tops to the Bears den.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed just listening to you guys.
Yeah, no, and the thing is,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can listen to these guys every day in Atlas Momo chat, just doing the same shit. Obviously, less of this and more of what's going on currently, and it's super interesting. Even if you're not trading it, just to be able to see with your own eyes, hey, this is what's going on, why it's going on. I know we do it on the podcast. Hey, check this out. RHE did this, last week, and yeah, not to brag, but
they're so much better than us. Oh,
but $5 to $15.
You guys are great.
No, but no, it's great just being able to see all this shit right in front of you guys. So no, it's been a blast, guys, and
thank you.
Hey, is that a diamond PGIR?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah,
that's
diamond PGIR chain. Tommy got it for me, bro.
Yeah, we told you, we're lifos. We're lifos.
Shout out Tommy, bro. Shout out Tommy.
Dude, I bought this with my next return off of my wash sales from going last in, first out.
We appreciate you having us on, guys. We enjoyed being here today.
Seriously, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, all
This
right,
is
guys.
definitely
Thank you.
Team, dude. Shout out all of Momo team. Noah, Javicha, fucking Maple Stacks, Tommy. We've been Tommy in.
Tommy, love Tommy. Big Stink.
Stink.
Hammed. Fappy.
Trey, Fappy, Nola.
Yeah, Fappy's been killing it.
SD Hilan.
SD's the man.
How do you pronounce that, dude?
No, it's just SD, bro. He's my boy who likes basketball.
Palmer, Skelp Ryan. Who else missing? Sam.
But no,
that's awesome. You guys, we talked about it before we started recording, but you guys are really like I feel like the SWAT team. Like you guys are just going in together, like killing it and stuff, and I think it's really, really cool.
I think it's important to know how to use the momentum floor in the chat. I did a video on Twitch, and I'm not trying to advertise, so you can bleep that out. But I did a video on Twitch on how to
Dude,
silence the
advertise.
noise.
Wait. Plug anything you guys want. That's what this is point. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
I have a Twitch. It's just Rhodesa, RHODESA. But I went over to how to silence the noise as a new trader, ranging from how to silence the noise on Twitter, how to silence the noise on Discord, and one of the big things were
just block
especially
you,
just
Henny.
Please do.
Tying it into Discord and the Momo floor is, we make killer calls in there every day. We do. But at the end of the day, I and a lot of other people post charts, post commentary, right? That's what we do on Voice. But I think it should be used as a resource rather than an alert system.
An indicator.
That's how I always took it as, right? Because you can bank, right? You can bank and that's great. But at the end of the day, you really want to learn what we're seeing. And that's why I continuously post charts. That's why Bear, Trog, and myself are always on Momo chat to speak through the trade and not just say entry here and then celebrate it with everyone in the end.
All right, guys. Well, it has been awesome having you. And we'd love to have you guys back. Hey, and I'll give you guys this. I was super fucking frustrated about having to do an interview with 3 people at the same time. But you guys do this every day. I realized my frets were in vain.
Dumb.
Yeah.
I'll usually agree.
We're in their breed.
So
One
it is
single
plot, bro.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Anyone looking to find them every day, Atlas Momo Chat, Voice Room. It's 100% free. You don't gotta spend a dime. And yeah, thank you to Bearfucker, Rhodesa, and Trogdor. And
thank you guys.
Thanks, PGI.
Thank you so much for having us. Take care.
See you guys.
Peace.
Later.